Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for entertainment purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders that took place on the 13th of November, 2022. May the victims rest in peace. XANAS, Kaylee, Ethan, and Maddie. Condolence to the families. I wanted to discuss about the DoorDash cam that delivered XANAS Canodal is food at 4 a.m. We've seen a footage of allegedly Brian Christopher Kohlberger parking his car, that's what we are told, and going into the house for 7-8 minutes. I personally don't believe he could have committed a quadruple murder in such a short time. I believe that these quadruple murders took place somewhere between 2 to 3:40. The reason I say that is because the police's timeline for the first 6-7 weeks was that the murders took place between 3 to 4. We've seen a lot happening between 5 minutes to 3. We saw the alcohol minor stop at Banfield by the undercover police. And on the body cam of the undercover police, we clearly saw that there was 4 figures running. Who was those 4 figures? Were they ever investigated? Did someone order a DoorDash on XANAS' card, on a Visa card, just to get an alibi and a timeline to prove that XANAS was actually alive? She could have been killed before that timing. Brian Kohlberger was supposed to have parked his car at 4:05. And if the DoorDash came at 4 a.m., wouldn't we have seen that? Wouldn't they have seen each other? XANAS was supposed to be using TikTok at 4:12 a.m. How can we be sure that it was XANAS that was using it? We saw XANAS' TikTok that she was following a friend who was dancing or something with long black hair. That doesn't prove that it was XANAS who was on the TikTok. I could have my phone app on and somebody else could have been using it. It doesn't necessarily mean it was me, myself, that was using it. Has the timelines been changed? We were always told in the beginning that this was a targeted attack. Either the roommates were targeted, the victims, or the house was the target, the resident. If the resident was a target, what was in the house that somebody would have want to rob, or basically that somebody would want to enter the property. And if it was the victims that were the target, which victims were the target? Did Brian Koberger really do this? Quadruple murders? Wouldn't there have been more evidence of that? Everyone seems to be keeping on saying that Brian Christopher Koberger had a degree in psychology, bachelor's degree. He had a degree, master's degree in criminology, and a PhD in crime and justice. Just because he has a higher education, that doesn't necessarily make him a killer. Just because Brian has a higher degree, that doesn't make him a killer. Trigger warning. I'm starting to look more into, was Brian Koberger set up? Because the more I research from the beginning of this case up to now, there isn't much evidence pointing out at Brian Koberger. In fact, it points out in other directions, like the Sigma Chi boys, the fraternity. And the reason I say that is because there was a fight there that night. Bethany Funk was there at the party. Was she a witness? What happened to these poor students? They deserve the correct justice. Could the people who have done this horrific quadruple murders and the surviving roommates have ordered on XANAS' name, the DoorDash? XANAS' father, Jeffrey Canodal, said that the last time he spoke to his daughter, that same night, the horrific night, XANA told him that she's going to stay at home. And it was midnight. She said she was going to order food. Why would XANA order food twice within 4 hours, from midnight to 4 a.m.? It doesn't make sense. This is the second floor. You can see XANA's bedroom in the corner. The roommate's bedroom was Dylan Mortensen. So if Dylan had a door open and she opened it thrice, it would have made creaky sounds. The floor makes creaky sounds. So wouldn't have the killer heard her? Why did the killer decide to save 2 roommates and take out 4 people? Was this a targeted attack? Why did the roommates take 8 hours to actually call the Sigma Chi boys before calling 911 and law enforcement? What does Bethany Funk know? That they have put her testimony, her statements, on a gag order. They sealed her testaments. Brian Koberger believes that BF, Bethany, could exonerate him. What does she know? Whatever statements and whatever she witnessed is unique to this case. What are we missing? Was it the Sigma Chi boys who did it? The reason I say that is that Fortune Post, allegedly, could be true. Did Dylan actually see a man with bushy eyebrows, or is it just a statement she made? The description she gave could have been anybody. Tall, athletic, bushy eyebrows. He was wearing a mask, so she could clearly not see who he was. Allegedly. How many people know the layouts of this house? Many people. How many people have the code to enter the front door? Many people. Could BF and DM have called Brian Kohberger after the crimes, the quadruple murder happened? Were they told to call him so that they could pin it on him? Just a question. Anything is possible. Timelines have been changed. I'm not the only one who's saying that.
Another bar down the street or something like that. And he's like, I worked all day, I'm tired, I'm going home. And he left and went home. And, we think things could have been different.
We question the time in that video. We're not sure if it's accurate. So people might look at that and take it to, based off of the records that we have, there could definitely be some questions on the timing of that.
Right.
For sure, but I will just say, I can't verify the timestamp there, but I know for a fact that after they left the corner club, they walked to the grub truck. It's about an 8-minute walk, so we need to factor that in. And then they ordered food. They were at the grub truck for about 10 minutes, and they didn't leave the grub truck until the Uber driver had arrived at 1:49.
And those
So
cameras
if you
would
work
suggest,
backwards, that timestamp doesn't match up.
that would suggest.
I don't know, I'm not gonna say it's completely false or anything, or how false it is, I don't know. But I'm saying from the timeline that I know for a fact, working it backwards doesn't match that timestamp.
Gotcha.
In that video, we're not sure if it's accurate. So people might look at that and take it to, based off of the records that we have, there could definitely be some questions on the timing of that.
Right.
For sure, but I will just say, I can't verify the timestamp there, but I know for a fact that after they left the corner club, they walked to the grub truck. It's about an 8-minute walk, so we need to factor that in. And then they ordered food. They were at the grub truck for about 10 minutes, and they didn't leave the grub truck until the Uber driver had arrived at 1:49.
And those
So
cameras
if you
would
work
suggest,
backwards, that timestamp doesn't match up.
that
So
would suggest.
I don't know, I'm not gonna say it's completely false or anything, or how false it is, I don't know. But I'm saying from the timeline that I know for a fact, working it backwards doesn't match that timestamp.
Gotcha.
Not gonna go to bed and wait for other people to resolve a family problem. This is a family problem. And
This isn't just
both
a
those
family.
girls are our girls, and we are not, I'm not handing over. I thought about it. I thought, like, here, just take care of my family and make sure that you find the right guy. And I eventually got to a point and said, you know what? My family, we're all G's. We call ourselves G's because nobody can pronounce our name. We are not going to sit here and let somebody else do a job that we can't add value to.
And you guys have added value. I mean,
Yes.
you, Olivia, found a Twitch video that actually solidified the timeline.
We watched the Ring video that showed them pulling up, and we're like, that's them, it's 1:56, that's what time they got home. And there's the car leaving, and yeah.
So we're working.
And I have my phone, Kaylee's phone is my phone, so we saw all the calls that she had made, and we just with an exact time. And I reached out to every person she called. I had them send screenshots of the communications that had happened on that day, of texts with my sister, of the call with my sister. How long was your phone conversation with her? Just to do whatever I could in those first few hours, because unfortunately by the time we even found out, they've been gone for more than 12 hours.
What America needs to know is you can be a victim all the way up to the point where you just hand it all off, or you can say, you know what? We have a moment in time to make an impact, do our due diligence, listen to what people are saying, write down like notes, and you can be a part of solving it and work on it. Anyone who thinks that one officer or one department can do this alone for people, they're crazy.
Yeah.
This takes the whole community. This takes all of us to solve.
I agree.
We can't put this on one man, one officer, one police person, one deputy, one sheriff. We have to all come together and say, you know what, this is on us. Are we gonna let these people exist and go undetected? Or are we all gonna come together and say, this is enough? We're gonna stomp this guy out of our community. And I'm telling you right now, we're coming for you.
What information does Bethany Funk has that is so important to this case? Her bedroom was on the first floor. Let's not forget the front door was left wide open. Bethany Funk was present at home 8 hours later when police were called, arrived on scene and discovered the homicides. So Bethany Funk was present at the home 8 hours later when police were called. She arrived on the scene and discovered the homicides, so she wasn't even at home. Is that what they're trying to say? Said, I'm a criminal investigator hired by the defense to assist in the representation of Brian Koberger. I was asked by appointed counsel Ann C. Taylor to investigate the alleged incident which led to the arrest of Brian Koberger. Brian is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. The deaths took place on the 3rd-story home. There are 2 bedrooms on each floor, bathrooms on each floor, and a kitchen, dining, and a living room in the middle. It states Funk is exculpatory to the defendant. Miss Funk's information is unique to experience and cannot be provided by another witness. Why don't they just let her talk? If they have nothing to hide, why doesn't the prosecution just hand over the DNA and the roadmap to the genealogical DNA that they're accusing Brian Koberger of? They were searching for a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai. When did it become a 2015 Hyundai? I believe there are more people involved. I believe Brian Koberger could be actually innocent, because none of this makes sense. Make it make sense. It's impossible that he could have committed a quadruple in such a short time, a couple of minutes. Bethany Funk and John Showalter know each other. So does Dylan, so does Jake. They all went to Boise, Idaho High School. These 4 people knew each other way before they started Idaho Moscow College. Where was John Showalter that day? Why did he drive 6 hours to his family's hunting or caravan, whatever place? Yeah, the hunting cabin. I apologize. This is just so frustrating. It's so sad to see that 4 young students lost their life And we know that there are other people involved, more people involved. John Showalter had his hands in his pocket the whole time. I wonder what he had in his pocket. He loves playing with K-bar knives, and big knives actually. We've seen him hunting. His clothes was bloody, and it didn't bother him. He has antisocial personality disorder symptoms. He's been kicked out of the fraternity. He's been kicked out, allegedly, of the corner club that night for harassing the girls. And other girls, I assume. He lives only 2 minutes away from the girls. Even Steve, Kaylee's father, wasn't satisfied that all these people were cleared out so soon. Has any real work been done in this case? Have they investigated? Or did they just spin it on Brian Kohberger? Allegedly. Look at this picture. It's an example of how many people would be in their parties. You can see many people there. So imagine how many unidentified DNAs is in that house. This white Hyundai Elantra belongs to Jack D. or his parents. It was always parked in front of his house. And the white pickup. Allegedly, he sold the white pickup 1 week after the murders. This car looks more like the car that was spotted in the gas station. We know that Dylan Mortensen, his boyfriend, Quinn Kelly, was driving a light car too. It was either white or beige, but very light. So any of these cars could have been seen on the murder scene. What was told to Adam? Maddie told Adam everything. What was everything? Did somebody come and retaliate on Maddie and Kaylee? Kaylee was constantly on her phone, texting. Was she concerned about what Maddie said? Did someone come and take revenge on these girls, allegedly? Kaylee wasn't following Jack Dujour on social media, but he was following her. He wrote that I love you. She did not reply back. Kaylee was moving. Was Jack part of any plan? Allegedly. Just observation. What was going on behind with hoodie guy and the guy in the black tracksuit in the grub truck? They were texting each other. What was going on there? The guy in the black tracksuit was keeping on looking at Maddie and Kaylee. Did he come to see, allegedly, who his targets was? A lot of weird behavior was going on, honestly. Was it XANAS and Ethan who were the targets? We know that there was a fight between Ethan and the Sigma Chi boys, the two Davids. Did they come to take revenge on these two innocent souls? And Maddie and Kaylee? Kaylee's father said that Kaylee tried to escape, but she was stuck between Maddie's body and the wall, the head of the bed, so she couldn't get out. Who was the target? Was it Maddie and Zaina and Ethan? That was the case. It makes sense with the fortune statements, allegedly. And I still believe it's the Sigma Chi boys who did it. Because the 4 figures running is very important. The 4 guys that were stopped by the undercover police, Saeed was one of them. He has bushy eyebrows. I'm not making fun of anybody, but he does. And that is the description Dylan gave. So we can't pick and choose what we want to add or distract, because this is what we see. There were a lot of fishy things going on that night. What happened to these 4 innocent souls? This car looks like the car that was parked in front of Jack D's house, allegedly. It doesn't look like Brian Koberger's car. And if you pay attention closely, there are occupants in the car. Look at the back seat. There's somebody sitting there. So if this was BK, he would have done it alone, according to the prosecution. But you can see somebody sitting behind. Pay attention that somebody's sitting behind. So who are the occupants? The police at the start were searching for occupants, persons. What happened to that? They changed the timeline when they put out the statements and requests from the public to help them with the Hyundai. What is happening? Did John Showalter really drive to Boise? What was the reason he drove so late at night? Was he running away from something? Did the Sigma Chi boys follow the fortune plan like it was written in Fortune and actually do the quadruple murders? They had 3 targets in mind. There was Maddie, may she rest in peace, Zaina, and Ethan. Did David Lott and the other David get so upset and actually do these crimes? We saw those 4 figures running. They could have been possibly one of these 2 Davids or both the Davids. Justice for these victims. Condolence to the families. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope that the truth is exposed very soon.